My formula for creating instant connection through your messages. It's to help your clients see themselves and their situation in your message. And the more of them that you can put into that message, the more they're going to want to pay attention to listen to, read, or hear your content. So they want to know what's in it for them. And that's always going to stand out to them most. The key there is to really get to know your audience and what's important to them. And this is where having a clear niche is going to help. Hello and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Melita Campbell. And if you have listened to one or more episodes of this show, you'll be aware that one of the reasons that I started my business and my big mission is to help talented experts, service-based business owners like coaches and consultants and freelancers to communicate their true value so they can attract more of their dream clients, have a bigger impact, and all without having to feel fake or pushy. They can really understand that true value, weave it through everything they do, and naturally start to create connections with the right people and attract those right fit clients and opportunities into their business and build a steady business that comes from the heart. All of their messaging, their marketing, their offers, the structure of the experience they're creating, everything is coming from this value sweet spot. And this week, I have been loving showing up in the Magnetic Messages Challenge. I run this every 3 or 4 months for my community to help them understand how to start this process, what it takes to connect with your clients through your messaging. And we've been really focusing on social media because that's something that you can apply your knowledge to quickly this week. But equally, it can apply to your website, your emails, your talks, any form of communication, really. And I wanted to share today some of the highlights of what we've been looking at, or the parts of the messages I've been sharing that have had the biggest connection with participants, so that you too can start to maybe shift your thinking a little bit around how you approach your messaging, how you start to connect with your dream clients, how you start to build a relationship with them and bring them step by step closer into your business in a way that feels natural and authentic to you, so it feels natural and authentic to them as well. It builds, as I say, that lasting relationship that's going to enable them to drop through into your business and become a client at a point that's right for them, and to always be there nurturing them in the process. So over the 4 days, we were looking at the golden rules of impactful messaging, and I'm going to share those with you in a moment because they are so fundamental to everything. And once you know them, you're going to go, oh yeah, that's obvious. But while it might be obvious, it's not always something that we think about consciously and intentionally set up our messages this way. So we'll dive into that a little bit today. And then we'll look at how you can start to use these ideas within your business, how you can start to use techniques like storytelling. We dived into that this week and looked at how you can start to find stories, what that structure is. And I showed you how easy it can be, but also how powerful to use stories in your business, because they enable you to connect in different ways than most other structures in your business. And once you know how to do it, as I said, they're really easy and fun to use. And then we looked about planning, how you can set yourself up for success, how you can be more consistent, how you can spend a lot less time on your content through planning. I know it's not sexy, but it does really give you so much more freedom in your business. So we've covered a lot in the 4 days, and I'm going to give you the highlights, as I say, but I want to bring this to your attention because the good news is, while the challenge is live this week, the replays are still available for you to the end of next week. So you can come in and catch up anytime. And after that, there will be an evergreen version. So you won't have the live Q&A element, but you'll have all of the masterclasses that you can cover yourself, do the work at any time, and you can still share your tasks in the community, because it's all within the Dream Clients Club community, which is free to join. So you can dive into that community, take this challenge at any time, And what was interesting is three of the people that did the challenge this time also did it last time when I ran it in January. And they are in a very different space this time. Like, oh, you said that before and I forgot. I'm going to apply it this time. Or last time you said this and I was just too scared at that moment. But now I understand it and I'm ready. I can take this forward. So it's one of those challenges that is going to be helpful for you to do on a regular basis in your business because you're always learning and growing and moving forward and getting braver as you test some of this out, as you start to create more powerful messages, as you start to connect with more of your ideal clients. And as more people say thank you for your content, that's going to give you a lot more courage to do more. So if you do the challenge and then join it again the next time you run it live, or in a couple of months' time, do the evergreen version for yourself, you're going to see a change. And it was really interesting to see for each of the three people just how much of a shift they have had in the space between now and January. You know, that's not that long at all, but already they've made a significant shift in that time. So it's really wonderful. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. So to get to the Dream Clients Club, you need to go to melitacampbell.com/club. That will take you directly to the community. You join up there. And as I say, it's free to be part of the community. You get the challenge, plus you get the weekly value sessions that are weekly masterclasses that I run for the community. They're live, so you can ask questions, and they're always very lively events. And there's always a little challenge that you can do, and then share that challenge in the community. So you're going to be growing your business alongside the group at the same time. This is really a community and learning and implementation that many coaches charge a lot of money for to be part of, but it's really my gift to you. My mission really is to see you succeed, to feel comfortable communicating your true value, winning more of your clients. And so I look forward to welcoming you to the community. But let me dive in. So day one, we looked at the golden rules of impactful communication. Day two, we're looking at your dream clients and how to talk to the problems that they have, the conversation that's already going on in their mind to really create that instant connection, how to use stories to connect with them emotionally, and then how to have that plan so you can be consistent. So those are the four core things that you'll learn in the challenge, and we're going to dive into some of those elements today. So the goal of the challenge is to help you understand what magnetic messages is, so that you can start to become seen as the obvious choice of service provider for your dream client. To do this, you need to be able to show that you understand their situation today and that you have empathy for their position. That's where this idea of joining the conversation that's going on in their mind really helps. Because if you jump in too soon, you may think, they're stuck being unproductive. Well, that's because of whatever reason, this is what they need to do. But if you don't start with where they are stuck today, they're not going to connect with that. They're not going to realize that you are talking to their situation. So we really need to meet them where they are today. And we need to build this trust and credibility. If they believe that we are the right person to help them, that we have the solution, that we are credible, we can deliver on what we promise, then they're going to pay much more attention to our messages and what we say and feel much more comfortable taking that next step with us and eventually having a conversation with us once they're ready. So we need to build that trust and credibility and prove that our system works so they have that belief. Now, the ancient Greeks had a really lovely methodology for this. It was called pathos, logos, and ethos. So pathos is building the authority, that credibility. Logos was having the logic, having a clear path for them to follow. And ethos was the emotion. And in our messages, we need to have all of those. And that's why having a series of messages through email or social media or a development in that message can help us cover these angles in a more fluid and natural way as well. Because all sales are based on emotion. We need to have that emotional connection, but it needs to be backed up with the logic that, oh, okay, yes, this is what I really want. And I can see that you have a plan, and I can see that you are the right person to deliver that plan for me. So you have all of those elements together. So that's what magnetic messaging is all about, bringing those three elements into all of your messages so that people really start to build that trust and feel comfortable and ready to take that next step. So I want to share a little bit of communication theory with you, and that's that communication is the transfer of meaning from one person to another. So it has two strands to that. One is the information that we put out there, which is where a lot of people stop. Like, yes, I've got the information. I know what I need to share with people, what I want them to know. I'm going to put that out there. Ta-da! Wipe your hands, job done. But the meaning comes from not just the information, but how people interact with that information. So this is the bit we need to pay a bit of attention to. What do we want people to do with that information? How do we want them to think, feel, and act as a result of experiencing our message, whether they're reading, listening, watching? So not just the information you're putting out there, but how are they going to interact with that? What do they need to know first, second, and third to get to the goal that we have for that message, the purpose that we have? And I would encourage you to do the thinking for your clients. Too often I'm reading a message and I'm having to think, why are they telling me this? What am I supposed to do as a result of that? How do I take the next step? Where is this taking me? You do the thinking and answer all of those questions so that they read a piece of content and they're not scratching their head at all. They're just like, oh, they have that light bulb moment. They know what to do next. They feel they've had value or learned something. So really go through, as I say, the information, the interaction. What do we want them to do with this message? And how can we make that really clear and simple? Which brings me to my 4 rules of impactful communication. And you may remember this because we have touched on it in the past on the show. These are 4 rules I developed more than a decade ago now. I was asked to train some communication professionals in how to make sure that every message they created was working and that they had a simple system that they could follow to help them create those messages. And this is that simple system. It started out being a 52 point system, and then I was boiling it down. Okay, what are the essentials? These 52 things, what can they be grouped under? And it came to these 4, and it could even just be one element, but I've extended it to 4 because it's more useful. So the first thing is to have a clear single purpose. Now, this isn't your business purpose or your personal purpose. This is the purpose of each individual message. As I said, what do you want them to think, feel, and do as a result of experiencing this one message? You may have an overall purpose for your business or an overall purpose for your content, but you want to have a single purpose for each message as well, because that's going to help you keep everything really focused and make sure that your clients don't have to think to figure out, why are they telling me this? What am I supposed to do with this information? So have that clear purpose. Then you want to make sure that you are audience centric always. Think of your dream client first. This isn't your information, it's their information. What do you want them to do with it? What is going to be most relevant and interesting for them? Because if you're putting out information from your point of view, they could miss your point altogether. So it has to be coming from a point of client understanding first. And then once you have those two, you know the purpose, you know who you're talking to and what's interesting and relevant for them, then you can start to keep it simple and relevant. So keeping it simple, the structure simple, not having sentences that are too wordy when they don't have to be, using the right kind of language that they can relate to. They don't need to look up in a dictionary, that sort of thing. And then the 4th rule is to plan. Now, your plan is going to be the purpose, the audience, how you're going to keep it simple, how you're going to edit that process, and finally, how are you going to check if your message got through? How do you know if it worked or not? And how are you going to take that learning and apply it to your next message? So that's your basic plan anyway. So these 4 points is kind of the plan. So that's always where I would encourage you to start with your messaging, have that purpose, know who you're talking to, then review your content, make sure it all has a logical structure, that it's clear, as simple as it can be. And how will you know if that works? And how are you going to apply your learning from asking that question? So, another thing that we looked at in the challenge was on that point of being audience centric, how do you connect with your clients instantly? And this is my formula for creating instant connection through your messages. It's to help your clients see themselves and their situation in your message. And the more of them that you can put into that message, the more they're going to want to pay attention to, listen to, read, or hear your content. So they want to know what's in it for them. And that's always going to stand out to them most. The key there is to really get to know your audience and what's important to them. And this is where having a clear niche is going to help. If you don't have a clear niche, go to YouTube, type in Melita Campbell, confident niching, and there's a masterclass on there that you can watch that's going to help you get started with niching and help you see just how powerful that can be. So you can take your first steps there because it's going to help you really connect with your audience. If you're trying to connect with everybody, I mean, what's important to everyone in the world? It's really hard to find that one common element that's going to get everybody's attention, apart from the world ending, maybe, So you want to niche down so that you can put more of them into your content. And you want to reveal the conversation that's going on in their mind today. We talked about that just a moment ago. But if you were a fly in the wall, or if you were to film them right now in their situation, what are they finding difficult? What is keeping them stuck? What is holding them back from everything they want to achieve? And how can you help them with your content today? How can you take them on a journey to help them see you may be stuck here, but it's because of whatever mistakes they're making, whatever story they're telling themselves, whatever myths they've bought into, perhaps. What is keeping them stuck? And what will it take for them to solve that? And you can break down that answer through all of your content to take them on this beautiful journey of understanding, of value, of starting to take their next steps. And this is going to position you as their ideal choice because you're already there holding their hand, helping them through their content. And there's no better way to build that trust and credibility than to actually already be helping them with their problem, with their solution, adding value. And you're going to put yourself right up there at the top of their list of potential people to work with. So you're starting to position yourself as their ideal choice of service provider, which of course is our goal. We don't want to do that in some kind of fake way. We want to demonstrate that by already helping them on that journey and being part of their world. And we always want to talk about the benefits. What do they walk away with after working with us? So if we have that camera, that fly on the wall, looking at where they are today and where they're stuck, if we were to have that same camera after they've worked with us, how would that be different? How will their life be different? And how do we get them from A to B? Because we may tell them, oh, we can help you become a millionaire, whatever it is that we're delivering. And they're like, well, that's what I want, but it's not possible for me. So we want to break that down with the logic. So we have that emotional draw, the need of what they actually want, and then backing that up with the logic of how we're going to help them get there so that they start to build that belief and we're building that credibility. So that's how those three elements that we talked about earlier, the ethos, logos, and pathos all work together to create a really powerful and engaging message for our clients. So that's what it takes to create that instant connection with our clients, to help them see themselves in our messages, because we really understand deeply who they are, why they're stuck today. We know where they want to get to, and we have that system to get them there. And we're talking about that. We're sharing that with them. And we're starting to already demonstrate that our methodology works by giving them the opportunity to try bits of the program or to shift their thinking and showing them what that life could be like for them afterwards. And one really lovely way to do this is to bring storytelling into our business. And I love storytelling because our brains are hardwired to listen to stories, to absorb them. Stories were developed to help us as a community to grow and share ideas. So that idea of listening to a story, absorbing the content and passing it on, it's hardwired into our brains already. So it's why storytelling is one of my favorite introduction techniques at a networking event, because it allows us to tell our story in a way that's very engaging. And for the people we share that with, for them to go and share our story with other people. So if they go and introduce us to someone else at that event, it's easy for them to do so because they have that story embedded. If we tell them about our expertise or our job title, then if they haven't really understood it, then they come up with something completely different. I've been introduced as all sorts of things in the past, but by using storytelling, we can really help make our ideas, our content, our expertise shareable, which is what we really want, right? And these stories can stick for a very long time. You've probably heard of the story of the tortoise and the hare. Well, that story is, I think it's more than 2,000 years old, and we still know it and can pass it on today. So these stories, once they stick around for a very long time. I remember going to a conference about 20 years ago. And this lady told the story about how she set up the sales agency, and then she ended up explaining that she was blind, and then she was escorted off the stage. When we arrived, she was already standing on stage, so we had no idea that she was blind. But the way she told that story was so compelling. I remember really leaning forward all the way through, even before she had this big revelation at the end. And a few years ago, I was thinking, do you know what? I think I'm ready to work with a sales agency. And who was the first person I thought of? This lady who I'd heard speak 15 years before that. And the agency is still going. I just Googled blind lady with sales agency, and I came and I found her. And then I saw her name. I was like, yes, that was her name. Found her agency and had that conversation. Don't underestimate just how powerful stories are. And sometimes I've shared parts of my personal story or client stories through my social media or my emails. And people have come up to me years later while networking live and said, when you said that story, that really helped me this way. And I did this as a result. And that's just so powerful to share a simple story that helps other people learn that lesson and get results. So it's really a wonderful tool for that purpose alone. Plus, when we realize that science has shown that stories light up several parts of the brain, which again makes that information more sticky. And historically, it's the storytellers who gain more credibility more quickly. So it helps with that pathos part of persuasion that we're trying to achieve. That's easy to share and remember. And the nice thing about stories is they allow you to speculate. Just imagine if, what would happen when? What would happen if? We can really transport people to a different future. We don't have to stay factual. We can really have fun with our stories, and we can speculate and imagine and share our vision of where we want to go. Even if we don't have a clear product today, we can tell people about, this is my vision. This is where I would love to make a difference in the world. I don't know what it's going to look like today, but this is where I'm aiming for. People could still get bought into that vision and remember it and remember, oh, you're the one with this vision. And I was so excited. I got goosebumps. It can be really, really powerful, and we can use it in so many different ways in our business. And they are super amazing at helping making the bigger picture, complex ideas, intangible things like our services to become more accessible for people to really understand it by using stories and metaphors and analogies and things to really help people understand our point in a different way. It's just such a powerful tool, but it can be really easy. So here is a task that I shared in the challenge, and it's to think of a time when you learned a lesson about productivity and share the moral or the lesson of that. I think most people can look back to a time in our childhood, at university, in our first job, with our kids, a time when we learned a valuable lesson about how we can be more productive, how we can stop wasting time, or how we could do something simpler. And we can put that across in a story to help other people learn that same lesson. So just take a moment, pause this and think, Can you think of a story like that? Could you share that with someone else? You'll start to see it can be much simpler than we might realize. And the last thing that we covered in the Magnetic Messages Challenge this week was how to plan. And I'm not going to go into right now how to plan. I would encourage you to go to there because I give you a downloadable planning framework that you can use very simply. But I want to give you some highlights of what to think about your plan. And now, one of the reasons we plan is to help ourselves to be consistent, to help ourselves make the most of our time, to plan ahead and get organized. But I want you to know that consistency is more about the quality than the quantity. So I heard some people talking about consistency, thinking that means they have to post every single day or they have to post twice every single day. And obviously, if you can post every day, that's fantastic. But that's not the point. The point of consistency, I believe, is more to have that consistency of message, that consistency of building that trust so that when people see your email drop into their inbox or your post flash up on their news feed and social media, that they know, oh, I know Marie always shares good value. I'm going to pay attention to this. I'm going to open that email. So if you consistently share great content that feels valuable, makes them feel good about themselves, help them feel hopeful about a better future, and that positions you and your message consistently, that is the key thing here. Posting on a regular basis becomes easier with a plan, but it's that consistency of message. I would far rather you put out one brilliant message that helps people and positions you as their service provider of choice each week than put out 5 pieces of content that are just there because they don't really have that thought and intention behind them. So do think about what frequency makes sense for you, what's possible for you at this time of life with your current resources, because you want to stick to a frequency and make it simple for you and give yourself permission to do less but better. As you may know, that's my phrase of this year, less but better. And I really think that that's such a powerful concept that we can bring into our content, not to just do stuff because we need to put something out there because it's Tuesday, but more to think what's going to make a difference to my client and how can I best put that across and when can I have the time to do that. And also to repeat your core messages often. Now, I used to work in internal communications, and so I was putting out several messages every single day to employees of the company. Now, you would think employees of the company that are getting messages from the company every single day and hopefully paying attention because it's of interest for them because it's about their company would know what the company strategy is, what our direction is, what our vision, our values are. But they didn't. We needed to repeat that in every single message so that it really embedded in their mind. Now, I want you to think if my teams internally, if I had to repeat the core message of the company, our core strategy, our brand message in every single message, every single day to employees, then you absolutely need to do that for your clients, your audience who are not employees. They're not being immersed in this information all the time. They are not going to remember. So repeat your core message often. Repeat your purpose. What are you doing? What are you all about? And make sure that that is really clear in all of your messaging, all of the way you set up your profiles. And the next value session next week is going to be all about setting up your 5-star LinkedIn profile. So do come along to that. It's going to be focused on LinkedIn, but it will apply to many other social media profiles as well if you're elsewhere. But make sure that that message, that core brand is visible and accessible in everything that you do. So that's my point on consistency. So moving forward to planning, once you plan out what you're going to cover in the next week or month, you can start to see what content do you need to create. And you can start to think about the journey you're taking your audience on. So it's not just a case of posting individual bits of content. Think about where are you taking your clients? Where are you helping them to learn more about you, about their challenge, about what's possible for them, helping to shift their thinking, being their champion, helping them see that where they're stuck today, that's okay. It's not necessarily their fault that they're feeling stuck. In most cases, we just don't have the knowledge or resources to do differently, but they don't need to stay stuck because you're going to guide them to that next step and take them with you for that journey. And then this is going to create a really nice flow for your content that's going to feel great for you to create and wonderful for them to receive as well. I've been a TEDx speaker coach for 2 different events in the past. And one of the things that we always say about a TEDx speech is it should be a gift. What's the gift in that talk for your audience? And I would think, what's the gift in that journey you're going to take your clients on? And that's a really lovely way to think about your content, that you're gifting your message, your insight, your expertise to your audience. You're helping them feel less alone, less isolated, less despairing, whatever it may be that your purpose is and what you want to deliver for your clients. So think a bit differently about your plan, and suddenly it doesn't feel quite so difficult and it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming. And instead, it feels quite exciting to create these mini journeys for your clients. And as I say, come along to the challenge and you'll get more insights and frameworks and tools and all sorts to help you with that plan. Exactly. So come along. It's melitacampbell.com/club to come and join the Dream Clients Club, which is where if you click on the classroom tab, you'll find the Magnetic Messages Challenge there. You'll also find a whole heap of resources and masterclasses and trainings all there for you to enjoy completely free. There's no charge. So do come and join us. Plus, of course, we have the most wonderful community. Everyone's so open and honest and supportive and encouraging. I'm very proud of that community. I love hanging out with you all there. So do come and join us, melitacampbell.com/club. And hopefully this has helped you to start thinking a little bit differently about the way you post on social media, what your messaging should be, and how to approach that in a way that feels right for you and for your clients. And one thing that we have in the club every week is what I call a podcast chat, where you can come and share your insights and ideas and what you've taken away and continue this discussion. If there's raised any questions for you, that's the place to come and ask, and you'll have direct access to me. So what have you taken away from this? Come and share it in the Dream Clients Club. I look forward to welcoming you into that community. And in the meantime, there is a lot more tools, tips, and insights, as always, coming up for you in the next episode. So subscribe now so you don't miss your weekly dose of inspiration and insights. And if you are enjoying this show, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your network and business besties. And I would love it if you could leave a review on iTunes. And that really helps the show to be found by more entrepreneurs, service-based business owners who can benefit from this knowledge as well. So that's everything from me. I'm Melita Campbell, your business coach and value whisperer, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.